So, the plot of the next Monsterverse movie has been leaked by the same person who correctly leaked GXK, and it spells trouble for the future of the Monsterverse. So today, I'll be going over the bare minimum of the plot without major spoilers, and explain why it could be the end of the Monsterverse. Enjoy. So here's the bare bones story. The governments of the world have finally decided to destroy the Titans by trapping all of them in the Hollow Earth, as well as shutting down Monarch. They brainwash most of the Titans on the surface using cyborg technology and use them to ambush Godzilla and Kong. This makes Godzilla extremely grumpy and Kong starts to lose his trust in humanity. They team up to take down the world leaders, but they have a secret weapon up their sleeve. We don't know exactly what that is, because the leaker said that was too cool to be spoiled. We'll be predicting that later. Now, this is all well and good, but why does this mean that the Monsterverse is ending? Well, they have been leading up to the government trying to destroy the Titans in pretty much every movie, and to finally act upon this means either two things. They have a plan for a new storyline going forward and are ending this before, or two, they're ending the Monsterverse. But that's not all. Just ask yourselves, where are they going to go after this? This is an endgame storyline. Without Monarch or Kong's trust in humanity, I doubt that we see Godzilla or Kong get a solo movie. And it's Monarch being shut down that really makes me worry. They're the catalyst and glue to the Monsterverse, and I don't see a Monsterverse without them. They're literally the logo. Also, Godzilla is keeping his evolved form, when if you want to keep the brand consistent, it would make more sense to have him return to normal in between movies. This movie is also leaked to contain a montage of different Titans being captured and brainwashed with the technology, so it's very likely that we see every single Monsterverse Titan in this. Except for 3. And that's our next subject, predicting the final big surprise of this movie, secret weapon of the third act. Now, one of those 3 Titans is Scar King, and yeah, I don't think that he's returning. But as you probably guessed, the other 2 are none other than King Ghidorah and his advanced form, Mechagodzilla. This technological terror was able to single-handedly defeat Godzilla, a character who has only been defeated one other time on screen by, you guessed it, King Ghidorah. So the next step is, of course, Mecha King Ghidorah, and I really want him to appear in this. Not only would it make sense for how he's controlling the Titans, it would also mean that in my first ever YouTube video in which I theorized about what would come next after GXK, I correctly predicted the next movie to a T. Here's a clip so you guys can see how accurate it is. Again, another chance to see some fan favourites make their mark in the West. My brother was actually the one who proposed this idea to me when I started working on this video, as a finale to the Monsterverse. In his idea, this movie would center around humanity deciding enough was enough and wiping out all the ancient titans until only a handful remained. I do like this idea, and if they ever made a movie titled Destroy All Monsters, they would probably go with this concept. But what if there was a movie tied closer to the original movie's plot? In that one, a truckload of monsters, including Rodan, Kumonga, and Angrius, came together to fight a titan threat unlike any other we've seen. Enter Mecha King Ghidorah. If we assume that the pilot of Mechagodzilla is still alive and still under the mind control of King Ghidorah, it would make sense to build another mech, one that more closely resembled his original form. Mecha King Ghidorah would be a global threat and would tie back into Godzilla's arc about the only times he's been defeated. It was due to humans' technology. His appearance would also lead into the first Godzilla and Kong movie by making an advanced version of their first villain. This would also be why Godzilla is mad and more antagonistic in this movie, as he knows that humanity has once again resurrected his ancient nemesis in a cyborg mech to try and replace him as the Alpha Titan. But Mecha King Ghidorah is definitely going to be defeated in this movie, as they have done the absolute maximum that they can do with his character after killing him off in the first appearance. His final, ultimate defeat will wrap up both Godzilla's arc, but also the last plot thread from the previous movies. This will be the endgame to the Monsterverse, and most likely its peak, since a different director is on board and they have a more serious and sober tone. Now all they need to do is bring back Ben McCreary and fix up the dialogue, and boom, best movie in the Monsterverse, taking both sides of the fans. Those who like storytelling, and those who like big action set pieces. So why? Why am I talking about all this in a video called Why GXK2 Will Kill the Monsterverse? They have famously stated that if people keep watching these movies, they'll keep making them, and this movie could be even more loved than GXK. Well, after this, they will have written themselves into a corner. If they don't want to involve Godzilla anymore due to fan demand for the Chunky Boy, then they have to give a specific reason for why he reverted back, bloating up the plot. There will be no tension between Monarch and the government, as I don't think that they'll be willing to fund them after they helped Godzilla and Kong destroy their big shiny robot dragon, even if they see the error and hubris of their ways. Without Monarch, the Monsterverse will feel detached from the first phase, and even if they replace them, future movies will always be compared to them. Think about what happened after the MCU finished all their plot points. Granted, they were more quality over quantity even before Endgame, but if Warner Brothers wants to keep making more of these, they will not have time to plan a course for the future. And while there are a lot of Godzilla monsters fans desperately want in the Monsterverse that they could include to expand after GXK2, Godzilla's main antagonist will be gone for good, and Godzilla's arc of finding his family was wrapped up in the last film. So there's not much they can do to keep the hype train going after this. Unless they were to have everything up to Godzilla vs. Kong be the first phase, and make a trilogy of GXK movies to get some more stable footing after going back to solo movies. But what about the third movie? There's a particular franchise that they're building up to a crossover with. Well, to be more specific, now even though I also mentioned Pacific Rim in my first video, I can't take credit for this idea, as it's something that fans have been begging for years. I mean, can you imagine the hype that would happen if Idris Elba appeared in the post-credit scene of GXK2? It's not even too far of a stretch, as the blueprints for Project Powerhouse contain numerous weapons from the Pacific Rim franchise. Film Theory made a whole video on the idea that I strongly advise checking out. Combine the hype, the fans of both franchises, the less goofy tone, the successes of Godzilla Minus 2 and 3 which will have released by then, and the fact that these movies keep on making more and more money with each installment, and there you go. Your first ever billion-dollar Godzilla movie. So in summary, yes, GXK2 could kill the Monsterverse, but it could very well lead it to a bright and very rich future. But anyways, that's it for this video. We're only about a month away from when my channel began, so if you could please consider subscribing, as I really want to get to 100 subscribers before then. Sorry if this video seemed a bit rushed. I was going to take a break this week to avoid burning out, but then I found out about the leaks and knew I had to cover them. My opinions on the plot and where they could go forward with the Monsterverse changed dramatically during the writing of the script, so if it feels a bit disjointed, that's probably the reason. I might not upload next week, but the next video I work on will be Godzilla vs. Mothra, so stay tuned for that. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all later.